back with more from Andy McCarthy. And Andy, yesterday, it always warms my heart when we could talk about something that makes sense and is common sense. Of course, I could show you the New York Times story, other stories where they lead with the fact that there was a dissent in this 6-2 decision in the affirmative action case involving Michigan the college admissions. But nonetheless, it was a 6-2 decision, which is pretty solid. And it was on the right side of history, as the left likes to say, I believe.
Right. Well, Steve, I think it's a sad day that there are two justices who are in dissent on this. You know, what we're dealing with here is the 14th Amendment says that everybody gets equal protection under the law. And the case presented the question whether the 14th Amendment essentially forbids what it required by, you know, basically saying that if the people of the state get together and say, we want in our Constitution what the 14th Amendment has, which is equal protection under the law, how can that be racially discriminatory? In essence, what they're saying is no discrimination. And in the wacko world that the New York Times and Justice Sotomayor live in, saying no discrimination is somehow discriminatory.
Yeah, it is a wacko world, all right. That's why I said common sense did prevail, at least on the part of 6 of the 8. But let's talk about the ramifications of this. Some of the opinions, you know, took it further and that it implied that it goes beyond just this school admission case and beyond just Michigan to states having the right to do what Michigan did. So what precedent does this set? What I mean, will states now be able to and why wouldn't this, if they're ruling, and you'll have to inform me here, if they're ruling that Michigan had the right to put to a vote this kind of thing for the public, and the public voted on it, and that's why it stands, then why wouldn't Prop 8 in California stand, for instance, or a similar initiative in other states? Why wouldn't that now, could they not use this as a precedent for that?
Well, I think this will be separate because it's about race more than other forms of discrimination, and race really is treated differently, not just by the 14th Amendment. It's treated differently in federal law. It's treated differently in case law. I think going forward, it's unfortunate to me that the majority opinion is not the opinion of Scalia and Thomas, that the other justices decided the case more narrowly and less coherently, so it opens the door to other challenges like the group that was challenging this Michigan referendum had. I think Justice Scalia is quite right when he says, you know, the 14th Amendment means what it says, and courts should get out of this nasty business of dividing the country by race. We have enough politicians doing that. I think the court should not be in that business. All
right, so going forward, I mean, this pretty much puts the death knell in affirmative action practices by universities for admission, or would that have to go to, in order for this precedent to apply, or to this be a precedent, would it have to go to that particular state putting a ballot and the voters passing it?
I think, Steve, that it should be the death knell. The problem is that the majority opinion, which is, there's no real majority opinion, but the 3-justice plurality, the opinion of Kennedy that was joined by Alito, the Chief Justice, and by Breyer, so I guess it's 4 justices.
Right.
You know, they leave the door open a crack for other affirmative action schemes. Now, I think if they ultimately get to the Supreme Court, they'll be rejected, but that means that the door's open a crack, people will try it, and it will take many years to work its way through the courts. It's just, you know, I just think the logic is so much on the side of just getting out of this business entirely, and removing what I think is a stigma unfairly that exists for, you know, competent people who happen to be minorities, who are, you know, suspected by other people of being, you know, affirmative action beneficiaries. Right. It doesn't do them any good. It doesn't do our society any good. we ought to get out of it politically, but we should certainly be out of it legally, and that's what the 14th Amendment is supposed to guarantee us.
What do you think of, if you had a chance to listen to the comments by former Justice Stevens and his book, Six Amendments, that he would like to see implemented to the Constitution, and one of them, of course, would just rewrite the Second Amendment because he believes that our founding fathers meant the right to bear arms just for militia members, and that's what he would have an amendment saying. So in effect, it would do away with the right to bear arms.
Well, I admire at least, Steve, that he's saying that the Constitution would have to be amended in order to do that, which is, to me, a lot better than what we get from most left-wing academics, who say that the Constitution, as it is now, pretty much means whatever they want it to mean.
Right.
So I think it's at least good that they say that's not what it says now, and we want to change it. That's a fairer fight than if you get judges who rewrite it on the fly.
Right. All right, Andy, interesting stuff as always, and thank you for doing the double segment. We'll speak to you soon, my friend.
My pleasure, Steve. Take care.
All right, the great Andy McCarthy, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, Faithless Execution is the new one that he has coming out very soon. I have been privy to receiving an advanced copy that's in the works, so I could vouch for it, and certainly you want to pre-order that book because it's going to be a New York Times bestseller like they all are. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Brent Badowski, pundit for TheHill.com, and he was also former Hill staffer, and we have a lot to talk about. Rand Paul, he thinks, has a Putin problem. That's easy to say 3 times fast because that's only 2 words. Putin problem, Putin problem, Putin problem. You throw another P in there, then you got a Peter Piper picked a peck problem. On the Steve Malzberg Show.